Written over 800 years ago by an Irish monk named Malachy, the prophecy of the popes predicts the end of times. Could that end be upon us? An ancient prophecy exists that raises questions about the future of mankind. The prophecy of the popes is a list of 112 phrases supposed to describe every pope from Innocent II up to the current pope, Pope Francis. At first glance, these descriptions of the popes to come may seem vague, but upon investigation, there seem to be some very compelling reasons for this to be a true prophecy. Malachy Olmager was a bishop in Northern Ireland, whose biggest dream was, like many of the faithful in that day, to travel to Rome and meet the Pope. So on June 12, 1139, Malachy leaves Ireland on his way to Rome. He travels with a small party, and his voyage will take him almost a year to complete, as he will reach Rome during the month of May the next year. This was an epic journey across a dark and dangerous continent. In those days, traveling the distance from Ireland to Rome was an extremely dangerous journey, as the world was a brutal place, where plagues and extreme violence were rampant. Throughout the journey, Malachy claims to feel the presence of God, guiding him and giving him strength. But when he at last reaches Rome, after completing an 11-month journey, being witness to the most heart-wrenching conditions, seeing extreme misery, poverty, and sickness in the villages he traveled through, Malachy is in for an unpleasant surprise. The last thing he expects to see is the opulence that surrounds the Pope. Malachy is furious. How could Pope Innocent II allow such indulgence in his own house? He retreats into the woods, overcome with emotion. Nobody knows for sure what happened to Saint Malachy, but he received a vision which he began to write a series of 112 Latin mottos, each of them describing every pope that would exist, from Innocent II up to the final pope, concluding with a pope identified as Peter the Roman, whose pontificate will allegedly precede the destruction of the city of Rome. About 3 years after Malachy returned to Ireland, Pope Innocent, who he had met with, died in 1143, and the pope that replaced him was known as Celestine II. His family had a castle in Umbria on the banks of the Tiber. Why that is interesting is because in the prophecy of the popes, it's said that this first pope would come from a castle on the Tiber. Many have tried to interpret the meaning of each of the popes on St. Malachy's list, but we can really just look at the last 4 popes in our current time and point at some very astonishing examples of accuracy. Pope number 108 was Paul VI. His motto is "Flower of Flowers." His coat of arms features 3 flowers, the symbol of the French monarchy. John Paul I, who St. Malachy described as "from the midst of the moon," became pope in 1978. He was born in the diocese of Belluno, which means beautiful moon, and he ascended to the papacy during a half moon. He died a lunar cycle later. He was Pope number 109. The 110th Pope, John Paul II, from the labor of the sun, not only was born during a solar eclipse, but he was buried during a solar eclipse. The motto for the 111th Pope, according to St. Malachy, is "From the glory of the olive." Many Catholic scholars were expecting a pope to come from the Benedictine order, symbolized by an olive branch. Cardinal Ratzinger, who was not a Benedictine, was elected pope. But then, to the astonishment of everyone, he picked his papal name as Benedict XVI. On February 11, 2013, Benedict unexpectedly announced his resignation in a speech in Latin before the cardinals at the Vatican. In the years following Pope Benedict's resignation, up to our current time, the world has seen massive disruption and an intensification of natural phenomena such as earthquakes and extreme weather events. Emerging diseases and viruses, wars and social upheaval leave us to face the question: are we living in the time of Peter the Roman? Although today's scholars argue if Pope Francis, the current Pope, can be said to represent St-Malachy's Peter the Roman, some have made a link between his choice of name and Francis of Assisi, whose father was named Peter. Peter the Roman is the 112th and last pope in St-Malachy's prophecy, while all other popes' mottos are comprised of 2 or 3 words. The last pope in the prophecy of the popes comes with this final warning: in the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit Peter the Roman, who will pasture his sheep in many tribulations. And when these things are finished, the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people. The end.